Hey there, Connorcondria here, and welcome back to another tier list video. Today, we're going to be doing Mario Party 9. Now, I may not like the boards, I may not like the car mechanic, but today we're going to figure out if Mario Party 9 actually has some decent minigames or not. So, without any further ado, we're not going to take any long breaks. It's about 80 minigames to go through. I really don't want this to be like a 40-50 minute video. So I'm gonna just go through it and we're just gonna see where do all the mini games rank. So the first one we got is Buddy Bounce. So Buddy Bounce is a game where there are 10, 3, and 1, like little bubbles hanging out above you. If you can jump on somebody, you can potentially get the 10s. Otherwise, you're looking towards getting the 1s or 3s. I like this game. It can be pretty fun. If you can sit there and constantly get on top of somebody's head, I would suggest doing it because that's the only way you're probably going to get 10s. But I think I'm going to put it in B tier. Up next, we got Loggerheads. Loggerheads is a minigame where you just kind of swing your axe whenever the log shows up. As soon as the bomb comes up, just hold A. There's nothing I can really say about it. It's just, can you recognize the log or the bomb? It's just as simple as that. So I think I'm going to be putting it in, let's go with C tier. Up next, we got Pinball Fall. This minigame has you choosing one of 5 different pinballs. They're gonna roll down at the same time. Some of them might get into pitfalls. At that point, you just gotta shake it out. This game is pretty luck-based to an extent because you do have to shake it out of the hole if it does go in the hole. Otherwise, it is basically just luck. So I think I'm gonna put it like high C. Loggerheads will probably go towards the middle. So the next one we got is Launch Break. Launch Break is a button mashing and controller shaking minigame. My only issue with this one, unfortunately, is when you're mashing the A, you're not mashing A at all. When you're mashing 1 and 2, it's the buttons are so small. I don't want to sit there and button mash on a tiny little button. Because of the way that I button mash, I like using the game controller where it has the giant A button. Even the B, Y, and X buttons are bigger than the 1 and 2 on the Wii. That's my only issue with it. And if it were bigger buttons, I'd put it higher. But I think I'm gonna put it high C. Up next, we got Goomba Village. Goomba Village is a game where you have 5 different toad mushroom houses. I don't know what they're necessarily considered. And then Goombas are gonna flock into all 5 houses. If you can keep your eye on the houses pretty well and you're pretty decent at counting, you'll probably figure out which house has one of the top 2 amounts. So long as you can keep your eye on it, I say you have a pretty good shot at just winning the minigame. But I think I'm gonna go put it in B tier. Up next, we got Speeding Bullets. Now, thankfully, I am doing the Speeding Bullets of Mario Party 9 and not the top 100, because in the top 100 it is absolute fucking garbage. But in Mario Party 9, I think it's an actual really good minigame. The controls seem pretty good. Just being able to speed up along the way is pretty fun, so I'm going to put it all the way up in A tier. Up next, we got Pianta Pool. Pianta Pool has a Pianta throwing rings in a pool. Wow, who would have guessed? The only difference is if it said Pianta's ring pool, but whatever. There are 2 purple rings and then a gold ring. The purple rings give you 3 points, whereas the golds give you 5. Just stay in the middle area, and my suggestion would just be follow the rings. If you can get to the gold ring knowing that nobody else is necessarily right next to it, go for it. Otherwise, just go to the nearest purple ring to you, honestly. I'm gonna put it in low B. Next, we got Chain Event. I actually think this one is pretty good. Think of Flip the Chimp, but 100 times better, because it's not slow and it's not boring and it's not blah. It's fast, it gets faster, and you really gotta keep your eye on everything. I just really like it, so I'm gonna put it up in high B tier. Up next, we got Sky Jinx. This is when they started to do the Mario Party minigames where we'll give you 3 lives, and then if you make it to the end, you might win. My issue is I liked it when it was 1 life. and if you fell, you lost. None of the safe bullshit of you get a couple lives, and then even if you have 1 life and the other guy has 3 lives, you'll still win. Like, no, I don't. Just give me 1 life. If I fuck up, I fuck up. If I don't and I somehow win it, perfect. So unfortunately, this is going to go in the low C. I might even move it to D tier. Up next, we got skipping class. I actually like this one a lot. You do an amalgamation of any of the D-pads, and I think only 2. I don't think 1 is a button that you can press in it. And if you happen to do it faster than anybody else, you'll get bonus points. So I think that's actually a pretty fun one. I really enjoy, especially when you can get it like really quick. I'm gonna put it up in A tier. Up next, we got a luck minigame, Mecca Choice. I played this a few times trying to figure out if I could see like certain things. Like, does this mean that I can go in this door? Because sometimes it'll like show a door closing. Does that represent anything? And honestly, it seems like it's just all luck. And because it's a luck minigame, I'm gonna put it in low B tier. Actually, no, let's put it in C tier, right next to the other luck minigame. Because you know what? I think I like Pitfall a lot better than I like the other one. So actually, let's just move that down a little bit. Up next, we got Jigsaw Jumble. I actually like this one. The only thing is, it can be pretty easy. If you see the puzzle piece and you spot a piece that looks like the corners that it's supposed to be, you can just drag it across and bada bing bada boom, you're done. You just do that 5 times real quick. So my suggestion would just be look at the corners of the piece that's supposed to go in it, and if you can spot one that's the exact same, put it right in. Don't even worry about the picture itself. I don't do that, and I get 20 seconds on my record. So that's how I do it, and then that's probably how I would suggest you do it. But I still think it's pretty fun either way, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Above that. Up next, we got Growing Up. Growing Up is a minigame where it's just reaction time. Can you press a button faster than everybody else? You do it 7 times. You can do 1, 2, A, B, or the D-pad. Actually, B, did I say 1, 2, A, B, D-pad? Yep, that's exactly what it is. I somehow didn't realize that I said B. Anyway, it's just a reaction minigame. I'm gonna put it in like mid-C tier once this is all done. Up next, we got Upward Mobility. I think this is a pretty good one. Think of Awful Tower, but pretty manageable. An Awful Tower, it's a lot of like really tight jumps and everything, where this is a lot more floaty. And if you can time your jumps, you can make it all the way to the top without missing a jump, honestly. It'll just be up, 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 go, go, go. I like this one. I'm gonna put this one in B tier. Up next, we got Ringleader. Ringleader is a game where you're just jumping on dolphins, man. You're in the water jumping with dolphins. You got small purple rings, you got the big gold rings, and you just gotta press A to get to the bigger ones. It's pretty fun so long as you can time everything perfectly right. I love timing it to where you have like the 2 gold and the 1 purple, and you can get through all 3 of them. I like this one a lot. I'm gonna put this one in mid B tier. Up next, we got Smash Compactor. Talking about if you mess up, you just die. You don't have to worry about somebody having an extra 2 or 3 lives. I don't know why they changed that with some minigames, but whatever. This one, you just punch people out of the way. You go into the little circles that embody any kind of light, and then you just hope you win. Hope that somebody doesn't push you out of the way at last second. So I'm gonna put it in low B tier. Up next, and I'm going to say this up front, my favorite minigame from Mario Party 9, Peak Precision. I love the fact that you just press the buttons as fast as you can. If you can memorize, well, not memorize, but you know, get an idea of where each button is, and then just be able to bam, 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 all the way up. I just love this minigame, man. I don't know what it is. I just really love it. The combination of like pushing buttons fast and memorizing and getting them all in the right combination. I love it. So, of course, I'm going to put it all the way up in S tier. Of course I am. Up next, we got a luck minigame, Intend to Win. Now, maybe this is bias in the sense of when I played Mario Party 9 a lot, I played it with my mother, and Tend to Win was like her favorite minigame. because of the luck, because of how it looked, and I don't know. But whenever we played, we would always play this mini game, and I know I have a lot of bias when it comes to this one. I can understand why some people may not like it, why some people may like it, but you got the all players move up, you got the U move up, you got people in last place move up, you got people in first place move up, you got your rivals move up. It gives you a whole bunch of different things. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my bias because of how much I played it with my mother, but I'm going to be putting it in A tier. Next we got Tuber Tug. Now I don't know if it's just me, but I think I'm actually pretty fucking good at this mini game. You press A and B at the same time, you pull back, release, and then you do it just non-stop for 10 seconds. I'm pretty sure my record is 60, maybe 60, 61 at the most. I'm sure you'll see it on screen, but I just really like the mini game. I'm gonna put it in like mid to top A tier as well. Up next we got Card Smarts. Outsmart your opponent and just pick a card. If you think you're gonna lose in any specific round, to go for your lower cards. That's my one thing to you. If you think that, oh my god, somebody's gonna pick 5 this round, pick your 1, pick your 2. Don't waste your higher cards if you think that somebody's gonna pick the 5. But if all the 5s are gone and you only have a 5, play your 4s, because nobody can beat you. You're always gonna tie, and then once you get to that last round, you'll have the 5 and you'll win. I just helped you win Card Smarts, but I'm gonna put it in high B tier. I think it's actually pretty good, and just if you can use your brain a lot, you'll pretty much win this a good amount of times. Up next, we got Toad and Go Seek. This time the hide and go seek, but Toad is just gonna pick a random house and you gotta go follow him. I had a pretty fucking lucky one where he spawned and he went in the house that was like literally 10 feet away from me maximum. I think that's the first one I show here. I think that's the first one that goes here. But he'll usually pick a decent random house, and if you have an idea of like the layout of the map, you'll probably find them a good amount of times pretty fast. But I still think it's a pretty good mini game overall. I'm gonna put it in high bid tier, B tier. Wow, I'm dumb. Up next we got Polar Extreme. Run around the ice the ice sculptures. Up next we got Polar Extreme. Run across the flattened glaciers, I guess, with the penguins that are trying to distract you, and just make it to the end of the boat. That's all you gotta do. Sometimes you might fall in water, you just spam out of it and spam 2 to get out of the ice, and you should be fine. I think it's a pretty decent one, so I'm gonna put it in low B tier. Up next, we got Goomba Bowling. We're going Wii Sports Bowling because it's basically the exact same controls, but you get 1 shot and you got 20 Goombas to hopefully mow down. I like this one, and there's a lot of different I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a decent amount of different combinations that the Goombas can go in, and so long as you have an idea of which one it's gonna be and how to bowl it, you'll probably always roll a 20. But I still think it's a pretty good one. I'm gonna put it in like mid B tier. Next we got Tumble Temple. A bunch of spiky balls are gonna roll down. Some will get caught for a second, some will roll down straight because the pegs will be moving up and down at random, and you just got to avoid them. Like halfway through, they're gonna bring out like the giant balls. They're gonna be coming out a lot faster and a lot more frantic. So I think this is actually a really good mini game, and I love the fact that Mario Party 9 does have the reverse mini games. That's one thing I will give it credit for, because at that point it's just whoever loses wins, so you just run up and touch the ball as fast as possible. Either way, getting off that, I still think it's a pretty good mini game. I'm gonna put it all the way up in A tier. The next mini game we got is Twist Ending. It's a safe game, and basically you just gotta twist left first. I don't know if it's left first or right first. Either way, you twist one way, you twist the other way, you twist back the first way, and you just gotta be able to stop it once the thing hits the mark on the left. And my suggestion would be that once you're twisting it, once it hits the thing on the left, turn your remote quickly to the opposite direction and it will stop it immediately. That is my tip for you. Don't like slow down, go all the way and just turn. That's all you gotta do, and you should pretty much win if you use that strategy. But I think it's a pretty good mini game. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Man, these 4-player games feel like they never goddamn end. But either way, next we got Manner of Escape. You got 6 doors on each floor. Nope, can't be 6. Wait, yes it can be 6. I'm dumb. Either way, you got 6 doors on each floor, and each time one of them will lead to the floor below you, and you just gotta find the one, go down, and just make your way to the bottom and get the hell out of the mansion. It's a pretty decent one. I actually kind of like it, but not as much as I think I should, so I'm gonna put it like lower B tier. Up next, we got Player Conveyor. You gotta find the right path to the center. Honestly, my suggestion for you is find where the center goes, go to the pipe that you need to come out of, and then just take one of the 3 other pipes. If you go on the right one, then you win. Otherwise, you're just kind of just sitting there running around, probably looking like an idiot. I think it's okay, honestly. It's not my favorite. I don't think it's bad either, so I'm just gonna put it like high C tier. Next minigame we got is Ballistic Beach. You got 2 balls, shoot them. Find the right angle and shoot them. That's all you really got to do. It's okay. I like it, but I feel like it's a little too simplistic. If there were like 3 or 4 balls and you had to really change the angles, maybe you had to shoot up, maybe you had to shoot down, you had to find the right, height and, left and right, maybe. But I think it's a little too simplistic to be any higher than like C tier. Up next, we got Bumper Bubbles. Oh look, a bumper game that I actually kind of like. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Bumper Balls. I know everybody likes you. I don't. I'm sorry. Too many ties. Until you get to top 100. Then it's too many fucking wins in 3 seconds. Either way, Bumper Bubbles is actually a pretty fun minigame. You have 2 spiky balls that usually are on screen at all times. Sometimes, they fall off and another pair will come on. You got to avoid them, collect the balloons, and then don't get bumped into the spike balls. And just keep your balloons. Sometimes you'll get lucky and somebody will pop right in front of you and you can collect like every single balloon that they drop. Other times, you're probably going to be SOL and never collect more than like 5 balloons. Either way, I think it's a pretty good minigame. I'm going to put it in like mid B tier. The next minigame we got is Flinger Painting. Flinger Painting is a minigame where you just fling the paint at the screen. And just my suggestion would be to get as much as you can. Fill in all the blank spots, because people obviously leave a lot of blank spots. Go fill them in. Get yourself the extra points. Fill them in, and just you always use like big splotches. Don't use smaller ones. Use the big splotches. That I feel like that's your best way to think about winning this minigame. I like it a lot. I wish it would have been in the top 100. I don't remember if it was in the top 100. It might have been, but I'm gonna put it in A tier. Next minigame we got is Bomb Barge. You're on a boat rolling down poisonous waters, and they're just gonna sling a shit ton of bombs at you. The bombs won't 100% kill you right away, so long as they don't knock you, so long as they're not pointing you in the direction of the poison and you're close to the poison. If you're like towards the middle and it just shoots you left or right, you'll probably be fine. Just make sure you don't get comboed. That's my suggestion. You can't punch or kick, just don't get comboed by the bombs or get caught with a bomb like on the side of the raft. I think it's pretty good though. I'm gonna put it like higher B tier. The next one we got is Don't Look. There's only one thing that hurts this minigame. The one thing that hurts Don't Look is the fact that sometimes your Wii Remote will point you in the complete opposite direction that you wanted to go. You might go look up and you look down. You might go look left and it somehow makes you look up. I don't know. Sometimes the controls just don't work. But it's a very fun game. I think it's one of their better ones. The only thing that keeps it from an S tier is because the Wii Remote is it just doesn't always work. Works most of the time, but when it doesn't work, it can be pretty frustrating. But with all that being said, I'm going to put it in A tier. Up next, we got Snow Go. It's a racing game in the snow. It's a pretty fun one, I'll be honest. You just go in circles and hop across the little speed boost there. And so long as you can make the nice turns, you'll be pretty good. You just got to be able to make those turns. Sometimes you'll crash into the wall. Trust me, I know how that feels. But I think it's pretty fun. It's pretty fluent. I think the controls are pretty good. So I'm going to put it... We're on a good roll here. We're going to put it also in A tier. And here's where the A tier stops. Next one we got is Piranha Patch. Run around the field, collect flowers. Don't get hit by the piranha plants that will randomly spawn looking like flowers at first. Flowers. Yeesh. Sometimes a gold one will appear, but I'm pretty sure they only spawn in the taller grass. So more piranhas will spawn in the taller grass, but also more gold ones will spawn in the taller grass. So it's like do you want to risk it? Or do you want to kind of play it safe and kind of stay outside of the tall grass and just hopefully collect enough pink flowers? It's fun, but it's not like one of my favorites, so I'm going to put it towards like the lower B tier. Up next, we got Plunder Ground. This is a mini game where you have 4 plunder chests. Each one will get filled to a specific amount of like little, I guess they're star bits, gems, whatever they are. Of course, 1 or 2 each round will get nothing. And you just gotta follow the ones that have the amounts that you want. Thankfully, you can actually follow them around in game. You don't just kind of sit there and wait and wait and wait, and then you can go. You just follow them around and just pick the ones that you want first. Hopefully, you're fast enough to pick them. Otherwise, you'll probably get screwed. I'm gonna put this one in top C. It's not the upper echelon of games, but it's still all right. Alright, I'm looking at the time and I'm noticing that this is taking quite a bit long, so I feel like for a few of these we're going to go a little faster. Next one we got is Peer Pressure. It's a luck-based minigame. Collect the piranhas. C tier. Up next we got Ballistics. Run around, don't get hit by the bullet bills, and just survive. That's as basic as it honestly is, but it's still decently fun. I think I'm going to put it in lower B tier. Up next we got Pit or Platter. You got a little platter and you got to get all the balls into the correct, I guess, pits that are glowing up, and just continuously do it and you'll get more and more points as you do it. But it's an alright mini game. I'm gonna put it like high C. Up next we got Whomper Room. Don't get hit by the thwomps. It's as basic as that. Some will fall down, don't get trapped, and don't get hit, don't bounce on people's heads, and you should be fine. C tier. Next we got Earn It. This is one of the mini games where you gotta pick the right selection, and if you're faster at picking it, you get more points. Some of them will be a little confusing at first, but if you let it slow down just a little bit, you'll probably be able to figure out which one it is. Again, C tier. Up next, we got Goomba Spotting. Goomba Spotting is a game where you just spot the Goombas. Who would have guessed? You press A every time a Goomba comes up on screen, and if you can count correctly and not get confused, then you should be fine. My suggestion is just whenever you see like a tall stack, holy shit. Whenever you see a tall stack of them, you count them in your head and then you press the number, and then if any run across while you're doing that, you count them while you're pressing the buttons. That's my suggestion to you. I like it though. I think it's really good. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Up next, we got Magma Mayhem. Magma Mayhem is a PvP game where you just punch the shit out of each other into the lava. It's pretty fun. If you have a lot of people on one side, the thing is going to tilt that way, so you might be able to use that to your advantage once you punch somebody. But I think it's pretty good, so I'm going to put it like the top of B tier. Could go in A tier, but I think top B is pretty good for it. Next, we got Pizza Me Mario. You throw toppings on a pizza. Throw your topping on every slice to win. I feel like it's a little simplistic, but it's still pretty fun. I'm gonna put it all the way in the middle of B tier. I think that's a good spot for it. And the last, finally, 4-player minigame is Fungi Frenzy. You got 9 blocks on your screen at once. Round pound them. If you can find the 3s, go nuts. Otherwise, I guess find the 2s. That's your second best bet, or just ground pound every single one next to you. You get 3 rounds of it and just collect as many as you can. It's alright. That's about as much as I can give it. It's alright. We're gonna put it in C tier. So, we are done with the 4-player mini games. 30 minutes into the recording. For me, I don't know how long it's going to be in the video, but 30 minutes for me. And funny enough, all the 4-player minigames, not one of them is below a C tier. I hate the boards, but the minigames are actually pretty good. But next, we're going to be going on to the 1 versus 3, or I guess just 1 versus rival minigames, because sometimes you can do 1v1s, 1v2s, depending on how many people are on the board. And we're going to start it off with Ruins Rumble. Ruins Rumble is a game where one person is chasing the other 3 down and 3 dry bones. You can't forget the dry bones, you have to hit them to win, in a little maze, and I think you're a little faster than the players, so you'll be able to catch up. And I think it's a pretty good one as well. I like this one a lot. I'm gonna put it in like the higher B tier. Up next, we got Hazard Hold. Hazard Hold is a mini game where you have 3 choices if you're the 1 player: shoot a gust to win, have an electric thing burst out from the center, or turn the fires on the corners. It's okay. You know, I feel like the only reason I won when I was playing against the computers for this was because they're computers and they weren't like on master difficulty, so they just had to mess up at some point. But I feel like if you have an idea, you'll probably win this as the 3 more than the 1. So I think I'm gonna put it like middle C. Up next, we got Line in the Sand. Draw circles in the sand as you're the 1 player. If you're not the 1 player, just avoid the circles. It's as simple as that. Don't draw them too big because it will not let you. Other than that, it's a mini game. It sure is. Honestly, this is probably the first one that I just don't really care for. This is the first one that's going to go into D tier. Up next, we got Block and Roll. One person's trying to carry across 3 blocks to the left side, and the other people are trying to roll giant fucking boulders onto him and hopefully ruin his day, apparently. I think it's pretty easy as the 1, honestly. Unless the 3 are really coordinated, you'll probably win a lot as the 1 player. So I'm gonna put it in like C tier. Up next, we got Tackle Takedown. Another one where in my mind, all I think is of, yup, it's a mini game. Basically, you just run, you sprint as the 1 player to get the football to the other side, and if you're the other guys, you just kind of block them. Depending on how the players are, it could be very, very easy for the 1 or very, very easy for the 3. It's just which is it, honestly. So I think I'm gonna put it like low C tier. Next up, we got Weird Wheels. The 1 player will use the D-pad to put in a combination, whereas the 3 people will use 2 or 1. I don't know if A is an option. I think it's just 2 and 1. And if you can coordinate as the 3 people, you'll probably be just on par with the 1 person. Just don't make any mistakes. Once you make a mistake, you're probably screwed for the rest of the minigame, honestly. So I think it's actually pretty decent. I'm gonna put it like lower B. The next one we got is Spike and Span. A spike ball is gonna drop down and you just kind of have to get it to hit the other players. It'll drop in random locations once it hits off the screen, but I think it's all right. It's all right. It's basically what I can say about it. It's all right. It's going into the C tier. The next one we got is Whole Hogs. As the 1 player, you're trying to make sure that the other players do not stay up in the holes long enough to get a point. It's a predetermined, I think like 2 or 3 seconds. So you just kind of have to keep an eye out. My suggestion as a 1 is just use your hammer on everything that comes out, whether it's a money mole or not, just use the hammer. If you're the other ones, try to go up in the area that the hammer is not. If you see the hammer is on 2, on like the configuration there, use the left D-pad. If they're on like the left D-pad, use 2. Just kind of think of that. Just go where the hammer isn't and you should probably be fine. I'm gonna put it in, let's go with like higher C tier. Up next, we got Pix Fix. You have a picture, the left side has 6, I'm so used to the 8. I'm so used to Mario Party 8. The left side has 6 panels, whereas the right side has 9 panels, whereas the other one in Mario Party 8 had 4 panels on the left. I can understand why they did this, because it's a lot easier, honestly. You just gotta flip them around to make the picture right. It's not hard. It's not a hard puzzle, so it's all right. I'm gonna put it in C tier. And the final 1 versus 3 minigame, or I guess 1 versus rival minigame, is Mob Sleds. The one player is trying to run around without getting hit by these sleds, and the other 3 are on strict courses where they must follow it. They can make turns, of course, at any point, but they still have to go through it until they can make those turns. It's an alright minigame, honestly. You just, so long as you can avoid the 3 players, you should be fine as the 1. But if you're the 3 players, do your best to corner him. Otherwise, he'll probably win, honestly. But I still think, honestly, that it is good enough to be in the lower B tier. Now we are moving on to the Bowser Jr. minigames. You'll have the 1 player, whoever lands on it, and then whoever is closest to last place, whether they're in last place or if you are in last place, then they'll pick the 3rd place person to do it with you on the board. And if you beat Bowser, you win many stars. If you don't, you lose them. The first one we got is Mecca March. You swing it when it is your turn, and if you can work really well, or if you can just notice that when the leg starts to move from your teammate, you just swing it like almost immediately. You can go pretty fast, and you just got to be able to time it with the jumps, and you'll probably be able to catch Bowser Jr. pretty easily. I think this is probably one of the better Bowser Jr. minigames. I'm going to put it in high B tier. Up next, we got Bowser Pop. You jump around and pop all the balloons, and I think at the end you also have to pop like the giant Bowser Jr. or Bowser balloon, or if it's just Bowser Jr. himself, it's probably Bowser Jr. himself. And if you can cooperate with your teammate again, it's pretty good. But if you can't, then you're probably screwed. I'm gonna put it like low B tier. Up next, we got the Double Pounder. I didn't realize I was going to McDonald's to get a fucking hamburger. But anyway, Double Pounder is a minigame where you just ground pound the same colors at the same time. That's all there is to it. Nothing else, just ground pound and yeah, okay. Low C tier. The next minigame we got is Zoom Room. Think of Team Treasure Trek from Mario Party 4, where it's like you have the maze and you want to meet up with your teammate. It's just with this time you want to also trap Bowser Jr. So long as you can do that, it's pretty good. Of course, so long as you do it. But I think it's actually a pretty fun minigame. Bowser Jr. obviously has a lot of different routes that he can take, and I think it's honestly pretty fun. I'm gonna put this one also in B tier. The next one we got is Cage Match. I'll be honest in saying that I, at this point, still have no idea how to catch Bowser Jr., honestly. It felt like I was doing something because I played it twice. I think I caught him the first time, I didn't the second time. And I felt like I was kind of doing the things kind of similarly, but it wasn't working the second time around, so I have no goddamn idea. Either way, it's an alright minigame. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Up next, we got Crossfire Caverns. Crossfire Caverns is a minigame where you have to shoot Bowser Jr. He's in the middle of both of you. Obviously, you can shoot the rocks that are in the way, or you can shoot across and hit your teammate and stun him. I think it's a pretty fun minigame, and my suggestion to you would be to wait until Bowser Jr. goes the opposite way and then shoot at him then. Because you go the same speed left and right, so you might as well just wait for him to turn around and come back towards you. So with that being said, I'm going to put this one in like higher C tier. The next one we got is Bumper Sparks. I think this is probably one of the better ones too. You have to chase down Bowser Jr. and hit him into the sparks that are on the outside of the arena. And my suggestion to you would kind of like use your teammate as like an extra bump. Like bump your teammate into Bowser Jr. or have your teammate bump you into Bowser Jr. But yeah, no, I think it's actually a pretty good minigame. I'm going to put it all the way in middle, like in the middle to higher part of B tier. The next minigame we got is Sand Trap, which, funny enough, kind of like was remade as like a 2v2 minigame in Mario Party 10. I noticed that this one and then the Pedal to the Paddle, which is a couple later in this as well, also got made as a 2v2 minigame in Mario Party 10. So I like that they kind of used ideas from previous games to make other minigames later on. But either way, Sand Trap is a minigame where you have to trap Bowser Jr. Just kind of go like how they're doing it like in the picture there. You just kind of go across and then he has no way of getting out, and then you just go one by one and make sure he can't escape. It's as Honestly, pretty simple as that. I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna put this one up in B tier as well. Next, we got Pair of Aces. You have to shoot down Bowser Jr. Honestly, I don't know when like the best time to shoot him is. Like, I feel like it's, I don't know. Like, he'll slow down sometimes, but even then you might be like middle shooting and you just kind of, you screw it up, you waste your time. I don't know. Sometimes you get lucky when he's moving, other times you're just SOL. So I think I'm gonna put it in C tier. And of course, like I said before, the last Bowser Jr. minigame is Pedal to the Paddle. They made this as a 2v2 minigame in Mario Party 10, and I think it's a pretty good one. So long as you can keep the momentum, you'll go pretty fast throughout the entire thing. I think it's actually pretty good. I'm gonna put this one in B tier. And now we come to the minigames that stand out in the sense of these were firsts for Mario Party. Boss battles. There are 14 boss battles, 7 mini bosses, and then 7 like main bosses, 2 per board. So let's start it off with Socket to Lakitu. Socket to Lakitu, you just hit a block to get the bullet bills that you want. Riveting boss gameplay. As you'll probably see, there are some of these that I just honestly don't care about. And it's unfortunate because it's like the main thing of Mario Party 9 and 10 kind of. But this is where it kind of falters, the boss battles. Socket to Lakitu, I gotta put you in C tier. Up next, we got Wamp Stomp. This one actually uses your brain a little bit. You got 4 people, you can choose 0 or 1. And then depending on if you're the player that gets stomped by the Womp, you won't be able to do anything. Otherwise, you're going to be automatically put onto the Womp, and then you just ground pound on him multiple times. Later on, he'll get frisky with putting like 1 or 2 extras on it, and you just got to think about what would your opponents do. I think it's a pretty good one. I'm going to put it in B tier. Up next, we got Deck Dry Bones. Deck Dry Bones is a game where you just pick the color platform that Dry Bones is on. I would think this is pretty boring, but thankfully, in the second half of it, it mixes up cards. Not a lot of the cards, but it still mixes up cards. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably put it lower C, maybe even D, but I'll put it in like the higher C. Next up, we got Cheap Cheap Shot. Find the shells, throw it to Cheap Cheap, and then avoid it when it charges the screen. A lot of these are pretty basic, I hate to say. At least in my opinion. I hate shitting on it, because I love Mario Party, but a lot of them are basic. Sorry, Cheap Cheap, but you're going in C. Up next is Spike Strike. Yeah, pick a hammer. That's it. Yeah, pick a hammer. You can pick the gold hammer if you're fast enough, otherwise you just pick a hammer and hope you're not left with the stick. Like I said, it's just kind of bland. C tier. Oh, but this one's great. This one, oh my god, I love this one. Bowser Jr. Breakdown. Oh man, it's so good that you just roll a fucking dice like you do the rest of the game. Is this at the point where they just had no idea what to make the minigames anymore? Let's make a minigame about rolling a die. Rolling a single die. That's it. If you manage to get a 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, yeah, you could move, but otherwise, yeah, you're fucked. D tier. And the final mini boss kind of minigame is the Diddy's Banana Blast. You got a shit ton of bananas in the middle, and you're gonna spawn in a random barrel. You shoot out, and you just continuously go back and forth, up, down, left, right, wherever you want to go, and just collect all the bananas that you can. I think this one's actually pretty decent. I'm gonna put this one like lower B2. Now for the main bosses. We're gonna try to speed this one up a little bit because we are 50 minutes into the recording for me. Jesus Christ. Anyway. The first one we got is Wiggler Bounce. Wiggler Bounce, you just bounce on the Wiggler. He has 1 spot on him that will do more damage, and you just bounce on the Wiggler. I'm gonna put this one in C tier. Up next, we got Bombard King Bomb. This one's actually pretty good. Bombard King Bombard King Bomb is a game where you have to pick the bomb, whichever one you want. But if somebody else picks it, nobody gets to do anything. But in the second half, if you pick a same bomb that somebody else picks, you lose points. So you gotta think of like, will somebody pick the big one? Will somebody think that I'm gonna pick the big one, so they pick the small one? It's just a lot of mind games, and I love me some mind games, so I'm gonna put it in like higher B tier. Up next, my favorite boss minigame is King Boo's Puzzle Attack. I'm not a person who like loves puzzles, loves like Tetris kind of games, or I guess like in this case like Bejeweled, or I guess Candy Crush if you want to relate it to that. But I think it's actually pretty good. It's a constant thing. You can move any piece basically wherever you want, as long as you can keep going in that motion. You can use the thunders to stun people and then get extra points, and I just really like it. It's my favorite boss minigame, and also one of my favorite minigames in general. We got another S tier, baby, and I can already promise you there is another one that's gonna go in it in a little bit. So next up, we got Blooper Barrage. It's just shooting a blooper, and then if an Urshian comes towards you, you shoot that too. They really lost just shooting things now. I'm sure that's like a lot of like different minigames, but it's just shooting blooper. That's it. It's not like you're doing anything special to like protect yourself, or just, it's just shooting. C tier. Next up, we got Chain Chomp Romp. Chain Chomp Romp is a game where you just follow the cannons. At the beginning, you kind of just like follow the path that leads to them, and then pick literally anything else. And then after that, you just kind of follow the gold path. And make sure you can press it fast enough, because it's not the same one every time. But any case, I'm going to put this one in C tier. Up next, we got Bowser's Block Battle. I actually think this one's pretty good too. Bowser's going to roll a shit ton of dice, and you got to make sure that your icon is the one that's on top. And after like 10-15 seconds, it'll stop, and then however many you have that are facing as you get to use as points. Otherwise, everybody else gets the points that way. If it's on Bowser, he's going to shoot fireballs, and you just got to avoid them. Then in the second half, he brings out the bosses from before, and you just got to avoid them to make sure you don't get hit by them. I think it's a pretty good concept. I think this is one of Bowser's better ones. I'm going to put this one all the way up in A tier. And finally, the last minigame we have is DK's Banana Bonus. You bounce up and down in banana barrels, collect the bananas. Sometimes an extra barrel will come down for you to shoot up even higher to collect even more bananas. It's an alright minigame. I think it's better. I think it's around like the same as Diddy, so I'm gonna put this one in B tier as well. But we are finally done with the tier list. I'm gonna mix around a few of them, kind of put them in like the tiers that I think they should be in, if I missed any that I wanted in certain tiers, or just kind of mix them around to make it a little more accurate. But I will see you guys in just a second. Alright, so I think I have it exactly how I want it. There might be a few that are not exactly in the right spot, but I think I have an overall, like, this is where I want like most of everything. I added a minigame to the S tier. I added speeding bullets. I think I actually liked it. I think I like it a little more than I want to admit. But this is my tier list. What would you change about it? Leave it down in the comments below. Do you think any of them deserve to be F tier? What are your S tier minigames? Also, if you like the video and you want to show some support, consider hitting the like button. It would mean a lot to me. Of course, you can look at the other Mario Party ones that I've done. Also, if you want to keep up with anything that I'm doing, I'm currently doing a lot of Pokemon stuff recently. So if you want to keep up with this and other content as well, consider hitting the subscribe button and turning on all the notifications. We're getting close to 200. It'll probably take another month or two, but we're getting there, and I'm happy for it, honestly. We're getting there a little faster than I ever thought we would, so if you would show me the support, that would mean a lot to me personally. But with all that being said, after almost an hour of recording, I don't know how long the video is going to be. I know I have a few things that I have to cut out, but either way, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and hope to see you all in the next one.